Hello and welcome to BBC News. I'm Laquesta Burak. Israel's government has formally approved the first stage of President Trump's ceasefire plan, which will see the release of all hostages held in Gaza. In a statement on X, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that the government has just now approved the framework for the release of all the hostages, the living and the deceased. President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and his special envoy, Steve Witkoff, also attended the cabinet meeting, sitting next to Benjamin Netanyahu. The first phase of the ceasefire plan will also see the release of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Israel will withdraw its troops to an agreed line, though still within Gaza. So this is where they are or have been during the conflict. The yellow line is where they've agreed to pull back to under the ceasefire deal. Aid trucks will also be allowed to re-enter the territory. Well, speaking at the Israel cabinet meeting, Benjamin Netanyahu was once again full of praise for President Trump for helping to secure the release of the remaining hostages in the coming days.
We're at a momentous development in the last 2 years. We fought during these 2 years to achieve our war aims, and a central one of these war aims is to return the hostages, all of the hostages, the living and the dead. And we're about to achieve that goal. We couldn't have achieved it without the extraordinary help of President Trump and his team, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. They worked tirelessly with Ron and his team, our team. That and the courage of our soldiers who entered Gaza and the combined military and diplomatic pressure that isolated Hamas, I think, has brought us to this point. I want to personally thank both of you, Steve, Jared. It's been long hours. You worked around the clock, but not only worked, I think you put in your brains and your hearts. And we know that it's for the benefit of Israel and the United States, for the benefit of decent people everywhere, and for the benefit of these families who will finally get to be with their loved ones. And I want to thank you on their behalf as well, and on behalf of the people of Israel.
Well, earlier, the deputy chairman of the Hamas political bureau said that he's received guarantees from the US and others that the war has completely ended.
Today, we announce that we have reached an agreement to end the war and aggression against our people and to begin implementing a permanent ceasefire, the withdrawal of the occupation forces, the entry of aid, the opening of the Rafah crossing in both directions, and the exchange of prisoners, where 250 Palestinian prisoners who were sentenced to life imprisonment will be released, in addition to 1,700 prisoners from the Gaza Strip, who were arrested after October 7th, in addition to the release of all children and women. We have received guarantees from the mediating brothers and from the American administration, all of whom confirm that the war has ended completely.
And President Donald Trump himself has confirmed that he will visit Israel and Egypt this weekend. Earlier, he'd said the official signing of the deal will take place in Egypt.
We reached a momentous breakthrough in the Middle East, something that people said was never going to be done. We ended the war in Gaza and really, on a much bigger basis, created peace. And I think it's going to be a lasting peace, hopefully an everlasting peace. Peace in the Middle East. We secured the release of all of the remaining hostages, and they should be released on Monday or Tuesday.
OK, so let's speak to our North America correspondent, David Willis. Hello there to you, David. Lovely to see you. So we heard there from President Trump and also from a Hamas spokesperson. As far as the detail goes, is that all we know, or have you come across other detail about this ceasefire?
Well, we know a little bit more, Laquesta, about who will monitor this ceasefire agreement. And there are sources here within the government who've been telling reporters that about 200 US military members will be moved from their current bases within the Middle East to Israel to oversee and coordinate a multinational force that will involve troops experienced in matters such as logistics, security, engineering, and so on. And they will establish what's being called a civil military coordination centre in Israel. And that will also involve forces, we're told, from Arab and Muslim countries in the region, including Egypt, Turkey, the United Arab Emirates and Qatar, and they will help basically coordinate the implementation of the ceasefire. They will oversee the transition to a civilian government in Gaza, and they will facilitate the arrival of humanitarian aid back into Gaza. Now, these 200 or so US troops will not, we're told, go into Gaza themselves. They'll be led by the head of CENTCOM, that's the US Central Command, a man by the name of Admiral Bradley Cooper.
And as far as statements from President Trump himself, what's he been saying about this?
Well, he said today that there will be, as he put it, a lasting peace in Gaza, and quite possibly, as he went on to say, an everlasting peace in Gaza. He is due to travel to the Middle East on Sunday. It's expected that he may take part in some sort of signing ceremony, perhaps in Egypt, and he will be there, of course, for the release of the hostages, which is due to take place, we're told, on Monday. That will be the sort of photo opportunity that any world leader would give their right arm for, you'd have thought. And of course, Donald Trump has made no secret of his desire to capture the Nobel Peace Prize. Unfortunately, for him at least, it seems that the ceasefire deal in Gaza has come too late for him to be awarded, to be made the recipient of the award this time around. I have to say, though, one newspaper, the Washington Post, which has not been traditionally a great fan of Donald Trump exactly, had the headline tonight, yes, Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. That's quite something coming from the Washington Post, and it didn't take long for Donald Trump to link to that article from his Truth social media platform, LaQuessa.
David, thank you very much for that. That was David Willis there. Well, with me now is Mohammed Taha from BBC Arabic. Good morning to you, Mohammed. So first off, that statement from the Deputy Chair of the Hamas Bureau. Take us through that.
So Hamas is saying that this war has ended. The difference between this time of ceasefire and the last two times in November 2023 and earlier in January this year, that there is this guarantee from Israel and sponsored by the US President Donald Trump that this war has ended and Israel will not go back to war after Hamas will hand over all their cards by giving all the hostages, the alive one and the dead one, on Sunday and Monday and maybe also Tuesday this week. We didn't see this before, as you know that before, when Hamas started to hand over hostages, there were differences on details and Israel went back to war. But in this time, apparently there is that massive guarantee from the US and from the other mediators in these negotiations that this war has ended.
Okay, so there will be relief, won't there, in Gaza, that there seems to be an end of some sort in sight. But long term, what happens next is the big question. I mean, we can just see on the screen there, this is the Israel-Gaza border, and if you can see that, Mohammed. So, you know, the smoke, the bombings, the attacks still continue.
Of course, we saw these images this morning, and these are live pictures that seeing that Israel is still bombing. We understand that this bombing is Israel is doing not to make the people of Gaza return back to the city of Gaza. You know, Israel didn't get their hostages back yet, and they see massive movement from the people who left the city of Gaza that they want to return back to the city of Gaza again, as there is no war. The war has ended, and there is a ceasefire has been approved by the Israeli government. So there is that atmosphere that the Palestinians want to return back to their homes. The Israeli army does not want this to happen, though, so they do this bombing. We didn't hear any massive fatalities or many people killed as we used to hear last week. For example, every morning we hear about 50 people killed, 60 people killed, and so on and so forth. There is bombing, there is no big fatalities. But answering your question, what is next? There are many questions on what's next. On top of them, who is going to rule Gaza? So we had many people who we interviewed in BBC Arabic who are very close to the Egyptian intelligence, who said that Egypt is preparing 5,000 Palestinian soldiers that were trained in Egypt to take control of the security in Gaza. And there is also these 15 Palestinian technocrat figures that they are going to rule Gaza. How are they going to be linked to also these news reports in the Egyptian media that they are saying that the former British Prime Minister Tony Blair will be involved in ruling Gaza, and Gareth Kushner will be in this committee as well. They want to be based in Arish in Egypt. Will Egypt be responsible of having this leadership of ruling Gaza on the Egyptian soil or not? Also, there are points related to disarming Hamas. Would this agreement including disarming Hamas or not? We had also interview in BBC Arabic with Mohammed Nazzal, one of the Hamas leaders, and he didn't give a clear answer if they agreed on that or not. So there are many details regarding that. However, it's a big relief for the people of Gaza who lost 67,000 people in this deadly war, and apparently it's coming to an end.
Mohammed Taha, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
And of course, all the updates on this latest developments on the BBC News website. We are around the world and across the UK. This is BBC News.